Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing great today. Appreciate those of you who watch this video. I'll be talking about Never Say Never Again, starring Sean Connery. If you've been following me on my James Bond quest of watching every James Bond movie, you'll know that I'm actually up to GoldenEye, but I decided to turn back the clocks to 1983 and talk about Never Say Never Again. See when Sean Connery decided to re-put on the wig, get in the role of James Bond one more time to see if he has the gusto to be our favorite spy, British spy character here. So right off the bat, the movie really does pick on the age of James Bond, of Sean Connery. He's an older guy. They're making him do like a war games type of test to make sure his skills are still top notch, which he keeps on dying and failing at his test, I guess you can say. But it doesn't stop them from putting him in another mission. And this age thing does play a part in the movie because one of his first fights, he's fighting a much bigger and stronger guy, hand-to-hand combat. And while the movie's made it look like this guy is like very big and very much stronger than James Bond, having him throw around Sean Connery just made Sean Connery or James Bond look old and feeble and kind of like a pathetic guy, like he's way past his prime. And maybe that's what the director and Sean Connery were trying to do with this part of the movie. If that was what they were trying to do, they very did succeed. And because this is a canon James Bond, it has a different opening. You know, you don't get your cold open and then your James Bond song, and then you get the movie going. This one, you get the cold opening with the theme song going on in the background while it's happening. It's kind of throws you off a little bit. It's not really works very well whatsoever. Kind of takes you out of the action of him doing with those things that he's doing on screen. But it is what it is. So if you don't know, I'm sure most of you guys who are watching this video already knows everything about James Bond, probably a lot more than I do, because I'm not a deep James Bond fan. I'm just on the surface level James Bond fan. Anyways, Never Say Never Again. It's just a retelling of the show, of the movie Thunderball, because they didn't have the rights to do anything else using James Bond. That was the only script rights that they had. Moving on here. So the movie does have a little bit of your drive humor that fits Connery's Bond well. You know, Sean Connery's Bond's more of your, he might have the suave a little bit, but he's more ruthless than the Roger Moore Bond was during this time period. The one moment I liked was when Bond runs into a fisherwoman. When he asks her what she's fishing for, she says she's fishing for a 6'2" brown eye, 109-pound fish. And later on, after he goes underwater, does some investigating, lo and behold, she kind of hooks him with her line and saves him because he's kind of in dire straits at that time. So she gets the fish she was looking for. There's also a gambling scene involving a half board game, half video game setup. I honestly don't understand what in the world was the idea of the video game, of the game they were playing, he was playing with the villain, because the rules weren't really clear to me. Just that you had to light up certain triangles of the other guy's board piece, or of the overall board piece with more of your color than the other color. And you had another joystick that could stop the other guy from doing it. And then if you lost, you got shocked. That's basically what I gathered from it. I will say, though, the graphics of the CGI they used was very high-tech for that time period. It looked very good on screen. It's just the game was kind of messy, in my point of view. And then you have the standout for me, though, is the henchwoman played by Barbara. I think never can say her last name, and this is bad because she's in another movie I'm going to be talking about. But she's played by Barbara Carrera. So that's why I don't say actors' names very much in my reviews. Anyways, this actress turned down the role to be in a Roger Moore movie to do this one, and you can tell that she's really having fun in this one. She's a great henchwoman. You can really tell she really got into this character, and she's just having fun playing her part. This is also Kim Basinger's first major movie role, the film that really launched her career. She's fine here, not amazing. They mostly show off her beauty, you know, because she's very beautiful. But other than that, she's okay. She's good enough to get more roles that she eventually does. I mean, she's not as great as she is in like Batman with Michael Keaton, and she's had some other roles that was just kind of spicy for at that time. But for her first major role, she does a fine job. The special effects in this is very good in this era. Talking about more about the special effects, but you can clearly see the limits of the technology of that time period. Some scenes look great, especially the gambling visuals, like I talked about. Others don't hold up as well. The horse jumping off the cliff with Bond looks terrible. Let's be honest here. It looks like maybe they actually threw a toy off the cliff. And the jetpack scenes look good in the close-ups, but they obviously look fake when they're doing like the wide shots. Still, overall, the CGI, the special effects, I should say, there's not really CGI in the 80s, right? But there is some, but not, anyways. The special effects work, and they make the movie look believable. One of the top, I would say one of the top movies with special effects, top notch. My final thoughts is Never Say Never Again is definitely better than Connery's last official Bond movie from 15 years earlier. He slips back into character more naturally. This time he doesn't feel like he's just there for a paycheck. That said, there are moments where it's clear he's aged out of the role, and while it's enjoyable, it's not as good as the Bond films Roger Moore was making in the 80s. Still, for an unofficial Bond movie, it's surprisingly solid and worth watching. And that's my thoughts on Never Say Never Again. Let me know what you think about Never Say Never Again. Do you think for the 1980s and this time period of the Roger Moore movies, is Never Say Never Again superior to those? Do you think they're inferior or just on the same level? I would say, well, I do say the Roger Moore movies are superior, but they're not. There's not a wide gap between the two. Just a little bit better than Never Say Never Again. Anyways, have a great day, and until next time, bye.